In high school, I ran track, played basketball, and I also used to do gymnastics. I remember what threw me off then was I went for a gymnastics session. I ended up breaking my ankle. Ever since that experience, I was like, I can't do a career of sports. My family does not support this era. In uni, I started my blog called DubaiFitFoodie.com. If you're starting your fitness journey and your goal is weight loss, just have a very clear goal. A lot of people start the gym and they were like, I want to lose 5 kg in 10 weeks. When that doesn't happen, they give up. And the truth is, you are going to get results, but you need to be able to adjust your timeline. Beyond the weight loss, do you have more energy? Are you sleeping better? And I think that shifting your perspective. People on Weight Watchers, they put them through an extreme diet, they cut out everything and they lose weight. 80% of them gain the weight back. It's because every time we try to force things to happen in a very short burst, we are literally not equipped to handle the result. You haven't mentally become the person that's fit. You haven't mentally become the person that has that lifestyle. If you want to make sustainable results, you need to find a plan that works for you. There's some people that can work out for 2 hours a day. There's a lot of people that they can only do 30 minutes, like busy moms who have jobs and they have kids. They just don't have that time. The real win happens when you do an audit of your own lifestyle. There was a time in my life when I was working out 2 hours a day. Now I only work out 3 times a week and I have to make that work for me. It's okay to go through phases. It's okay to have shifts and have changes. But I think the biggest thing is first of all, just assess what your life actually looks like and then set a realistic goal.
Hello, you keep coming back to watch our video and that means the world to us. But here is the thing. 96.6% of you that come back here every week to watch us haven't yet hit the subscribe button, and that leaves us with just 3.4% of people. We pour our hearts into this. We try to create something special. We try to make sure every story, every moment is being created in a very, very important way that tells a story about ourselves the way we want it to be told. And please, by just hitting the subscribe button, you're doing us a huge favor. And on that note, I can make a promise to you that this show is only going to get better. The guests are only going to improve, and the overall quality is going to also improve by just doing one thing for me. As you come back to watch, just hit the subscribe button and share to a friend to also subscribe. It means the world to us as you do that. And hey, if there's something you need to tell us that we are not doing, just drop a comment or just drop a DM. We are always open. And please, we'll be looking forward to seeing you back every week. Thank you. Hello, welcome. I hope someone is listening, and if you are, please pay attention, because the stories we tell ourselves as a way of quickly becoming our reality. And on that note, welcome to Talks About You, a story about self. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about something very dear and very tricky to every one of us. It's called fitness. And I mean, we all have New Year resolutions that at the end of the year we must hit the gym, we must do this, we must do that. But the motivation seems to fade away very quickly. And I have an expert in the field of business here with me today, no other person than Gbemi Giwa. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, Sarami. I'm good. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for doing this with me. It means the world to me and my team, like I said before now. Thank you for doing what you do.
Of course, my pleasure.
Yeah, because Studio Nakoya said something to me when he was on the pod. He said, no matter how little what we're contributing, we have to do it like it matters. And thank you for doing what you do like it matters, because I see the passion you put into it. So, on this pod, we like to start from the very beginning.
Okay.
So we need to understand what fuels the journey, because the knowing is more important than where you are going to. You need to have the knowing first. So if I know Gbemi, let me say I was your playmate when we were 10, 5, 6. Mm-hmm. What will I know about you?
Oh, wow. Okay, that's such a good question. At 5, I was just extremely energetic, very playful, wanted to be everywhere. And my mom just kept telling me, Gbemi, you act like a boy. Gbemi this, Gbemi that. But you could very clearly tell that I was someone who enjoyed sports. I enjoyed just movement. And yeah, I think at the time I actually wanted to be an engineer because it sounded cool. Okay. But yeah, other than that, I was just someone that just liked to move around.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Lagos.
Oh yeah, I was born and brought up in Lagos. Lagos has a way of rubbing off on you. What are the things you think Lagos gave to you, your formative age?
Whoa, that's very deep. So, okay, for full context, I feel like my childhood, and I'm calling childhood 0 to 15, was broken down into 3 phases. So, my parents are separated. I would say 0 to 6, I was with my dad and my birth mom. 6 to like 10, I was with my mom. And then like from 10 to 15, I was raised by my stepmom and my dad. So I feel like I have such different experiences of like my childhood. Very early on, like my dad has always been like very protective. I don't really feel like, or I didn't feel at the time anyway, that I had much context for Lagos because it was very much just my house.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When I did move with my birth mom, we, she was a bit more lax, single mom, doesn't really have time to be checking on you like that. I mean, she did her best, but it was the first time I really got to like interact with like, I guess, neighborhood kids. But then, like,
what's your neighborhood?
I live with my mom we lived in Ikoyi in, what's the name of it called again? I forget now. Wow. You know those towers?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ikoyi Towers.
Towers, yeah.
That's where we lived, yeah.
No, that makes sense. Ikoyi is a posh neighborhood, not like where we grew up.
Well, 0 to 6, I lived in First Stack, but...
Yeah, I mean, I used to say, like, formative years are so important because they tend to create a mindset that you build on the foundation of your life. I mean, we learn a lot of things along the way, but the core of our being is still very related to those that raise us. So, speaking about that, after Ikoyi, then what was next?
Then I moved to my dad's house with my stepmom in Bagada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's more Lagos now.
Yeah, that's more Lagos. But we grew up super like sheltered. I don't know any of my neighbors. We just lived in this compound. To leave my house, you have to have like a security pass. Like it was very. I even say, obviously now I moved away and I moved back to Lagos like a year ago. This is my first time living in Lagos. So, yeah.
You think this is your first time living in Lagos? Like
I
experiencing?
It is. It really
okay.
is.
Okay. I mean, since we're talking about Lagos, how's it like? How's it been coming back?
I feel like I went through so many experiences. First, like, couple of months back, I was like, I must live the Lagos life. Because obviously I'm an adult now and, like, you can't really tell me what it is to do. So I had a lot of fun for sure. But then, like, the Lagosness of things, like, really does rub off on you very quickly. I feel like I've become a much more aggressive person. Like, I will let you have it. And I never used to be like that. Like, I'm very calculated. But in Lagos, you have to let it out before you take it home. If you take it home, you almost die of madness. So I let things out very quickly. I feel like Lagos made life real for me because I lived in Dubai for 15 years. So Dubai is very like sheltered, like everything is clean and covered. You don't see poverty. You don't see, in fact, I didn't really see anybody that was pregnant. You don't really see anything other than like nice and clean and polished. But in Lagos, every other corner is real life. And you just realize that, it's real.
That's the only reason I love Lagos. I used to say, no matter how far I've been able to travel or where I've been able to see, Lagos is my favorite city because it's just the representation of. Yeah, I mean it's my own favorite city, and I mean that because it's the representation of the struggle and the high life for me. You could be in the traffic this minute, shouting at somebody, swearing at somebody, and the next minute, me and my guys were on a rooftop, chilling proper. Everything is clean, serene, amazing, cool people. That's what Lagos does for you.
Yeah.
Unlike most places, for you to be able to switch between that is very difficult. Life is portrayed in a certain way, like you said. So you moved to Dubai 15 years ago.
Yeah.
What did you go for?
School.
Oh,
yeah. So I moved for school. I actually started studying civil engineering.
Okay.
And after like 2 years, I was like, yeah, this is not for me. So I switched my majors. My dad was... my God.
Was being a typical African dad, going crazy.
Oh my God. But I switched to design management, which basically allowed me to do... So I did a year of design school. And essentially design school, you're in there with like architects, interior designers, graphic designers, but you do like foundation in like unlocking your creativity. And then the management side of things was like more business side. So like the roles that we had in front of us were things like project management, managing design projects and stuff like that. So that's eventually what I ended up as. But I never really, used a degree.
Yeah, I mean, how did project manager help you with fitness? Because I have a master's in project management, and I know it's like fundamentals for everything.
I would say like even though I never worked in that role, like and this is why I really love the American education system. Is like they make you like take different courses, and you have all these electives across different like majors, and I feel like it taught me creative thinking, time management, how to. I'm a business owner before I'm a fitness coach, right? So it taught me how to manage my business. Even the creative side of things like really helped me with things like content creation and like my branding. And I just feel like it was just a practical degree that I was able to apply from day one, because my first job was actually as I worked in a restaurant, like as an engagement executive, right? Because when I left uni, like I already mentioned, I had a very protective childhood.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that my first priority was I just need to be my own person. So I was like, the first job that I get, I'm taking it. I just need to make my own money. So I did get a job, and
In
I was
Dubai?
like, yeah. And that's like, after uni, I got a job, and I just stayed back.
Okay, so where did fitness come in all of this? That's what I'm trying to build up to.
Beautiful. So in high school, I ran track. I played basketball, and I also used to do gymnastics. And I remember like my mom was like, she never really wanted me to do anything like sporty. It just wasn't. It didn't feel like a priority, right? And I just feel like was a shame and very much a missed opportunity, because I felt like I had talent. It's always good to say, you could have been the best footballer, blah, blah, blah. But I genuinely felt like I was someone that had really, really good talent. I'm very grateful that I'm able to use that now. But in any case, I remember what threw me off then was I went for a gymnastics session, and I ended up breaking my ankle. And my mom was like, and we're Muslim, right? Family's Muslim. So she's like, you're going to pray on your knee. So ever since that experience, I was like, no, I can't do a career of sports. My family does not support this era. But going to uni, I also ran track for my uni as well. And then fitness was always in the background. In uni, I started my blog called redefining, which essentially, like, I didn't realize what I was doing at like 16, but that name was just SEO powerful, right? And because of that, just because I had this blog that had Dubai, Fit and Foodie, it was just organically getting a lot of clicks. So I then just became the person that liked to work out, and I was sharing my workouts. I was sharing like all of my healthy recipes, and that's really where like fitness was never not a part of my life. It just kind of like transitioned. So I ran track, I played sports, and then in uni I started the gym, and then I became the person that would go around Dubai, like trying out gyms, trying out sports, and just.
How many sports have you tried?
So many. I used to do this thing where every year I would try out a new sport. So let's see. Ran track, played basketball, played football, wasn't very good. I did triathlon, wasn't very good either. So basically that's like run, bike, swim. I did CrossFit. I did boxing. Started tennis. Like that I really like boxing, kickboxing. CrossFit in itself is a lot because it has like gymnastics, it has weightlifting, it has like, I guess like cardio type sports. But I like to try everything. I'm always down to try something once.
So why are you trying gyms? Building up to you becoming coach, a fitness coach. Why are you trying gyms? Why you are trying, like, if someone is new to fitness that's listening to this, what's the first thing they should have at the back of their mind? Like,
okay, so the first thing I would definitely say is like just have a very clear goal. In that space, my only priority was just to have fun and experiment. But if you're starting your fitness journey and your goal is weight loss, or your goal is just to have a bit more movement in your life, your goal is to have fun, I would recommend that you have that clear goal first of all. It would just save you so much time. Once you have that goal, and then it's now easy to then say, okay, if your goal is fat loss, for example, which is my specialty, you can get results from home or from the gym, depending on your approach. And I would say that once the goal is clear, you can now start looking at ways to actually achieve that goal. So, yeah.
Fitness is more than just working out.
Of course.
And it's more about mental health. And it's more about you trying to push through days when your body don't allow you to. And that's why most people that start gymming quit within the first 1 to 3 months. I mean, it's not me, it's just the numbers that show that like most people give up. So my question now is, as a fitness coach, how do you help someone that's coming to me and say like, I've done this before, but I ran away in 2 months? What's the first thing you prepare their mind for?
Okay, I think the biggest thing I always say to you is you have to be in it for the long term. Like a lot of people start the gym and they're like, I want to lose 5 kg in 10 weeks or in 1 month. And then when that doesn't happen, they give up, right? The biggest reason I see why people give up is because they're not seeing results as quickly as they thought they would see the result. And you can apply this to anything in life. You start a business, you want to make 1M in 2 months. Whatever it is, like people just really want quick kind of like returns. And the truth is, you are going to get results, but you need to be able to adjust your timeline. And then you also need to be shifting what you think as results. So beyond the weight loss, do you have more energy? Beyond the weight loss, are you sleeping better? Beyond the weight loss, are you feeling better? I think all of these things contribute as to the kind of actual effort that you get. Are you able to think better? You mentioned like mental health, just having that one time in the day where you can go shut off everything else and just focus on developing yourself is such a huge win. And I think that shifting your perspective from like weight loss only is key. Not saying that weight loss is not possible, but it's a much more nuanced approach and it takes time. And there are a lot of people, and studies have been done on this. If you look at like Weight Watchers, so people on Weight Watchers, they put them through an extreme diet, they cut out everything and they lose weight. Did you know that like 80% of them gain the weight back? Which is crazy, right? It's because every time we try to force things to happen in a very short burst, we are literally not equipped to handle the result. You haven't mentally become the person that's fit. You haven't mentally become the person that has that lifestyle. So I like to take a lifestyle approach to achieving goals as opposed to like, I'm just going to force myself to do this thing. And then you're not the person that can maintain those results. So, yeah. Time.
So, you said taking a lifetime approach.
Yeah.
And I feel like while I'm preparing for this, while I see your work, that has been the basics of what your own fitness coach journey is about. So now, we all have, I keep saying it, we all feel the same, but our realities are quite different.
Right.
Our realities are quite different. We can agree on that. So how do you make people with different realities take the same lifestyle approach to things? That's just what my question is.
Okay, so I think that's the biggest part of my work. What I do is personalized health coaching. There was a time that I was selling, this one program to work for everyone. I don't believe that works for anyone anymore. If you want to make sustainable results, you need to find a plan that works for you. There's some people that can eat salads for the rest of their life, but there's a lot of people that need to eat eba. They need to eat jollof rice. There's some people that can work out for 2 hours a day. There's a lot of people that they can only do 30 minutes, like busy moms who have jobs and they have kids. They just don't have that time. And I think that people think there's only one version of things. And I really blame social media for this, because you go on social media, you see somebody, they wake up at 5 a.m., they do this, they do that, and everybody wants to become that person. But the real win happens when you realize, or you do an audit of your own lifestyle and see what's even possible for you, do you get? And then be okay with what your version of success is. So for like me, there was a time in my life when I was working out 2 hours a day. Now I work out 3 times a week and I have to make that work for me, right? And it's okay to go through phases. It's okay to like have shifts and have changes. But I think the biggest thing is like, first of all, just assess what your life actually looks like and then set a realistic goal. If you know that you're someone that will only be able to go to the gym 3 times a week, maybe you can make up for it by like having a higher calorie deficit. Maybe you have more healthy food choices. Or maybe you're just like, maybe you, instead of sleeping 10 hours, you sleep 8 hours, which is recommended for women. Find where you can make changes. And I think the biggest thing is also like highlighting your priorities. There's this thing that people say is like, you have time, it's just not a priority. So it's really looking at what is your priority, where can you make the time shave. Sometimes you really can't, but I think it's like, as opposed to like looking at what one person's version of success or healthy is, really defining what that is for yourself and then making your life the standard.
Yeah, about making life the standard, I feel like one of the reasons why I started to talk about it is people don't really have access to information. They just assume, especially in our society. And I know for a fact, 30 minutes consistently every day is enough for you to gain all the progress you want in a gym. But with your own expertise, my question is, what's the least amount of time I should be spending in a gym to be assured I'm going to get results down the line?
I love this question. Since I moved back, I noticed that Nigerians love to spend time in the gym, and you see them doing the balls.
Because we don't know. 5 years ago, even me, I'm one of those people you're talking about. But when I started doing this pod, speaking to people, learning more, I realized if you can be it's your field. Let me just allow you to talk.
No,
please.
But you're right. So the stats show that I think the minimum a week is 3. and you can do 30 to 45 minutes on average, right? That's 3 times a week. 30 to 45 minutes is enough to get anyone results long term that they can maintain. And then the other things to bear in mind will be like, okay, your steps. Even 10,000 steps is not the benchmark. Most people don't do 10,000 steps. I personally recommend around 8,000. And if you're just starting out, I would never say go from 0 to 8,000. No, we put you on 5,000, and then we build up really, really slowly. Everything that you want is possible, but it's just about like, I guess, measuring your effort. As opposed to putting 100% on day one, I would do like 40% effort. Let that stick, get used to it, and then move it up. The thing about when you spend like 2 hours in the gym, it's, and sorry to say this, but a lot of those people, they don't actually, like, physically, they don't look like they have those results. So sorry, it's gonna sound so bad.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's just the truth. Like,
yeah,
because
like,
I remember when I started gymming. Like, I've never been to the gym before pandemic. Immediately after pandemic, I came out of the pandemic looking very out of shape. Like, it was crazy. No, this one was not normal, because all my life I've never been fat. So the first time I saw myself in the mirror, and I was like, this is a fat boy. And I was like, okay, I need to go to the gym. And I know I started spending hours and hours, and I was really not going anywhere because I was not in the knowing.
Yeah.
So now, thank you for saying that. 3 times a week, 30 to 45 minutes. How long should the person be expecting a result?
I think it depends on your starting point. So if you're like carrying around like 10 kg of extra fat, I would say like you can get like great results in 6 months. If you're like way overweight, like we need to extend that timeline. So again, it's not really a one size fits all approach. When I onboard my clients, I typically look at their goal. If they're looking to lose 10 or 20 kg, I can then now inform them on the timeline. But I think like for most people, like 6 months is really a good timeline for you to see like objective results. And another thing I didn't get to mention as well, the reason why people will spend 2 hours in the gym and not see results is that the diet is horrible. The way the average Nigerian eats, wow. And it's not our food that's the problem. It's the oil that we use to cook. It is the quantities that we eat. I remember growing up, like, bless my parents, but the rice was like this, and then you don't put like 2 meat on top. Like, that is not a balanced plate. Like, you can't be eating that amount of rice carbs and that amount of protein and expect to see objective results. Where I love working and I really see a lot of difference is really education on nutrition. This is, if you want to see a physical change in your body, this is where we really need to be putting the focus in. I think movement, honestly, bare minimum. Everybody should be doing some sort of movement. If you don't want to go to the gym, I don't care. Dance, go for a walk, skip, box, play tennis. Find a movement that you enjoy.
Chase your kid.
Exactly.
Something.
Chase your child. Just do something. Go to a party, but don't go and drink and eat everything there. But be active. And I feel like as humans, we're made to move. It feels good. Movement feels good, and we need to find movement that we enjoy. But then for food, that always requires like a complete re-education process. And it doesn't mean cutting out your favorite foods either. It just means being smarter about how we approach it.
Dieting how important is dieting in my fitness journey? I've been on my fitness journey, but I've never had dieting. So for somebody like me that still don't know how to go around that, how important is dieting in my fitness journey?
So in terms of actually seeing physical results, like the science says that it's 70% of the work, right? Compared to movement. So training is 30% of it. 70% is nutrition.
So the body is really made in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is.
I used to see that, but I think because of my biases, not because I don't know. I'm just biased towards it. Just being a typical Lagos boy and thinking, no, it's made in the gym.
It matters because, and I think the reason why people ignore it when they hear it is that they think that, it means that they have to start eating salads and start drinking smoothies and stop all their favorite foods. But the truth is that you can still eat the things that you love if you just get a little bit more intentional about how you prepare them. Like, people always ask me, Gbemi, that's the question I just like, do you eat? Duh, of course I eat. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you eat? That's what they should ask. What do you eat?
Yeah, duh, of course I eat. But like, I'm very mindful about my protein intake. If you want to lose fat, if you want to build muscle, protein is huge. And I'm not saying go and buy protein shake, because that's also another marketing gimmick.
You think that's a gimmick?
Yes. And
wow, that's interesting. We'll touch on that.
Yeah, we'll touch on it. So I'm not saying go and buy a protein shake. I'm not saying go and spend, hundreds of thousands on supplements. Nigerians love supplements. See, as humans, not even Nigerians, I love Nigerians. Like, everybody loves a quick fix. They want to take a pill and say, okay, this is what's going to cure everything. But actually, if you just do a few basic things right, you don't need, like, we have access to so much fresh food, so many, like, when people are thinking, oh, superfoods, like, you have all these brain food supplements that are going viral. And I'm just like, things like bitter leaf, ginger, turmeric, like the basic things that you have in the everyday Nigerian kitchen, they're so powerful. Like, they're anti-inflammatory, like, they boost your metabolism. Like, there's just so much that we have, and it doesn't really take a lot. It just takes, like, just rethinking how we consume.
I mean, in the process of rethinking how we consume, I think people don't focus on this because social media, the pressure that comes with it, a certain body type, a certain prototype. And we are in the generation of instant gratification, like instantly. So what's one of the most difficult things you have had to deal with is clients that want instant gratification? Because I'm sure they will always come to you. They want the result. They see that you're doing the work, but they want it to be instant.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm very grateful that I'm now in a point where, like, to work for me, you have to apply. So you really do, because I feel like, and I can genuinely say I'm only one person. I can't help everyone, and I don't want to work with everyone. I think the biggest thing is helping my clients understand that it's a long-term game, because I have nothing against surgery. Like, I feel like surgery is life-changing for some people, and, it's for a reason, right? But ultimately, even most people who have, like, for example, a BBL done will tell you that for them to maintain the results, they now have to hit the gym and eat well. Right, hitting the gym, and eating well. I think these are, like, you don't have to go to the gym, but movement, right, are the basics. And aside of looking good, because that instant gratification comes from this wanting to look good. Just think about you when you're 60, when you're 70. Do you not want to move well? So I think understanding what your health markers are is very, very key, and not thinking about, okay, please don't get me wrong, I don't want to spoil anybody's market. It pays to look good. Do you get? Like, look good, and wanting to look good is a very valid reason to hit the gym. But I think that your energy levels, your actual health.
Feeling good.
Yeah, feeling good. These are the things that will keep you doing it 60 years from now. Because by and large, like, we're all going to grow old, right? We're all going to, no matter how good
we are growing old fast ourselves.
Exactly, right? So the more things that we can do to preserve the quality of life that we have, the better.
I mean, you touched about, I like to touch on two things with you, like, because we've spoken about it before we go further and forget to mention BBL. A lot of people are rich enough to have a BBL and are dropping it. I mean, there are people that have done their BBL and went back to remove it and just move on with their life. But people in Nigeria are not knowing that. So what's your stance on social media thinking we need a particular body type?
I mean,
because that's what is common in the Nigerian social media space.
I'm just a girl.
I mean,
I'm just one person with my own opinions. I do think that social media does push this narrative of we need to look a certain way. I have a client right now who told me, oh, you're my last stop. If it doesn't work with you, I'm going to get a PBL, I'm going to get lipo, and I might also try Ozempic. Ozempic's also huge, right? So I'm like, okay, listen, just commit to this process for 6 months. Be objective about your reasoning, and I promise you, you will feel great. Your body will start to look great, and you have results that you can actually maintain. We're about 4 months in, and like, she's like, wow, my belt, my this, my that. She's one of like thousands of people who, I mean, she's rare, right? Most people don't even bother to like have a last stop. They just go straight into these surgeries, which are incredibly dangerous. Like the death rate is like crazy, right? But at the same time, okay, you know, everybody likes big yash. I mean, us in the gym, we're squatting because we want big yash. By and large, fine, and it's fine, but I just think that it's not sustainable. Everybody's starting to look the same. I don't know, like for me personally, I don't like the look. I don't like it, but like there's a lot of people like it. So everybody is different, and do what makes you happy. If you can afford it and you want to do it, who am I? Have fun.
Okay, the whey protein thing, does it really work to Is it for bulking up or what's it? There's a mentality behind it, like when you take whey protein, you bulk up.
Yes, I
Is
love
that
this
is that
question.
is that right?
Yeah, it's true. So protein is just like an additional supplement to essentially help you. So when it comes to muscle building, the most important macronutrient is protein, right? And the protein supplement has just kind of like risen from this need. And I think it's just marketing because you can get protein from real food, and most people don't need the amount of protein or that much protein. So you can get protein from eggs, you can get protein from chicken, you can get protein from fish, etc. The thing is though that the protein comes in because it's like quick. People just want to put something in their bottle, shake it up, and like drink a quick protein shake, and it's fine. I think like gym bros more specifically, like, you know, they drink their proteins. But the issue is that a lot of these protein supplements, read the label, they are filled with so many additives, so many unnecessary ingredients. It's barely food anymore. These are like now becoming chemical enhancers. And I always say that if your goal is to be like a bodybuilding athlete, okay, drink the protein shakes. You're probably going to have to take a few other drugs as well, because those shredded physiques that we see, most of them are not natural. But a lot of people, again, to just see what they want online. Like some of these guys are like shooting testosterone up. They're taking protein shakes. They're taking a bunch of stuff. Whatever. That's what they need to do. But if you're just an average person looking to lose fat and build muscle, you don't need a protein shake, right? If you want it and you have the money, fine, go. But do you need it? No, you don't. I'm a big advocate for real food, because my objective is not just how you look, it's actually your actual health. A lot of these protein shakes, people take them and they start getting pimples, right? It starts breaking out their skin. You're also overloading your liver, which is basically the organ used to detox, because there's just so much shit. Sorry for my language. I saw an article.
No, we're on YouTube. You free?
Oh, perfect. I saw an article on CNN that they posted about 2 months ago, where it said that around 80% of the protein supplements on the market contain lead. Do you know how toxic that is?
That's poisonous.
Right? Exactly. We don't like, we're not going to these labs and testing what these people are making. Why don't you just blend milk and soy and eat eggs and eat fish and just eat real food, and you will still get those great results. That's my take.
So you think the common practices around is wrong, where people that are not like gym bros just just put it and they still come back and eat good food after the gym?
Yeah, like
they don't need it.
You don't actually need it. So the recommended protein intake per body weight is about 0.5 kg for grams for women per body weight. And really understanding what your own nutritional needs are is key. Please don't like just do what everybody else is doing. And this is the common practice. Like we just do what everyone else is doing, but we don't understand what we actually need. And it's really, really worth figuring out what your body actually needs to grow. And you don't need to buy the protein shakes to get results, honestly.
Do you work with both male and female? That's my question. That's my next question.
So I actually primarily work with women, but I do have.
Yeah, sorry, but I mean, why? That's what I'm just building up to. Yeah.
No, I do actually have like 3 or 4 male clients.
Okay, special cases.
Not even special cases. I don't even know, like, so very recently I've really tailored my marketing because I have a very clear, like, ideal client avatar. And from a business perspective, it just pays me to speak very clearly to who I prefer to work with. But and more women gravitate towards me, you know. It's not that I don't like
more women gravitate towards you.
Yeah, and I feel like I really understand the female physique. And this is something that is very interesting. So did you know that all of the everything you know about fitness, science, physical, most of those like testing and research was actually done on men, and we're only now beginning to realize that, okay, for women, very, very different, because men operate on a 24-hour hormone cycle, but women operate on a 28-day hormone cycle, right? Yeah. So on some days, like the days before our period, we're not able to work out as hard, we're not able to do certain things, and I'm now like, personally, I find it more interesting to kind of like dive deep into what actually helps my female clients thrive. I feel like there's just so much that has been already done for men. You guys have so much help out there. So it's not really my priority. But yeah, like it's very interesting because our physics are different. What we need is essentially different. And the things that will work for a man, that's how you see some men like, okay, I'll give you a story. So I have a client who signed up with me in, I think, October. So she was doing my plan. And within, I think it was about like a 4 or 5 month period, she was down about 7 kg. She didn't tell me. Her husband was doing the exact same plan, right? And he was down about 12 kg doing my exact same plan. And what's crazy about that is that she was like, oh, but why did he get better results than me? Why, la, la, la. I'm just like, well, first of all, he's severely under eating because this was done for you. But secondly, like, it's actually a little bit easier for men to see results than it is for women, just because we have so many other things to consider. Like, our hormones play a huge role. For men, like, you guys, you can go to the gym and be a little bit consistent and eat a little. Like, I feel like with my male clients, it's so easy to get results. Within like a month or two of doing the right things, like if I went to work with you and you wanted to build muscle in like 6 months, I could very easily get you there, like super quickly.
Now packs are the fines these days. I never see. I mean, but my packs cage already. They're just the packs.
Consistency, progressive overload. Like when you go to the gym on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your workouts?
I'm always on 6.5. I mean, no, 6.7, 5.6.7. That's the kind of person I am.
You need to be working at an 8. You actually do. You need to be working at an 8. That's where we want you. Like, that's the rate of perceived exertion you need to be having. You need to leave that gym feeling like, ooh, okay, that was an 8.
I'm an entrepreneur. Like no, a real life entrepreneur.
Nothing is going to happen
this
to you.
This thing don't stop. Like this also don't stop. I mean, I've been working with Tominson for like the past few days, and he keeps saying it every time we get home. Like this thing is harder than 9 to 5 because we're always getting him very late. So if I go to the gym and I'm at like 8 and I have a meeting like in an hour time, like what do I do?
You'll be fine. See, the thing is, and our bodies are so smart and so resilient. The more you train yourself to this level of stress, the quicker you adapt. That's 1. 2 is, I would also not go every day. I would just reduce the cycle to like 3-4 days a week. But every time you hit the gym, make it count, right? You want to make sure that those sessions are really, really counting, and then you're resting. Because when you're actually working out, you're just breaking down your muscle. It's during the rest that you build the muscle.
Okay, I have 2 questions in respect to what we're talking about. You said it's important to go to the gym and make it count. That's the first part. But before we touch down on that, I want to ask, like, apart from dieting,
what else?
What else are important in gym? Because I know you were talking about the female having to consider their hormone cycle. What are the things that are important?
Next thing is sleep. We don't understand how important sleep is. Sleep is key. There's a great book called Why We Sleep by Matt Walker, and he goes in depth into like everything that happens when we sleep. But sleep is just like, if you don't sleep well, and I mean like really hit that deep sleep level, your body will not do what it's supposed to do. Sleep is healing for us. It's key to managing like our hormones. It's key to just managing like we digest stuff when we
metabolism.
Sleep. Everything like is connected to sleep. So sleep is something that I'm consciously always optimizing for with my clients. And a few things for sleep is like, make sure you sleep in a cold, dark room.
Dark?
Yeah.
I don't sleep in the dark. Should I start doing it? I'm scared.
Why are you scared? God has got you.
I don't know, maybe because, I mean, my mom always make sure I have like little lights in my room. So.
No, it's very, and this is also like, again, we're now going into like biohacking and longevity, but like, as humans, especially now, like, most of us are like light polluted, right?
Light polluted?
Yeah.
Light pollution, yeah. I know it's a thing, yeah.
So because there's something called the circadian rhythm, and that's basically the timeline of our bodies. Essentially, when the sun is up is when we're supposed to be up and active. When the sun is down, we should be sleeping. We should not be exposed to light. But like we have things like artificial light, our phones, that are now like giving our body cues. Ultimately, we think like we've really kind of like progressed, but like our bodies are still primitive. So when we see light, it messes with the cues that we actually get, and we think that, oh, we're still running on daytime. So these things, they're small, but they're mighty. One thing that actually helps is getting like blue light blocking glasses if you're going to like work at night, and then like sleeping in the dark is huge. It will make such a difference. I don't really want to endorse any like Apple Watches or anything like that, but like there are a few like wearable devices that you can use to help you track your sleep and stuff, and I think that can also be helpful. So sleep is key. The next thing I will actually look at when it comes to getting results would be stress levels. Everybody they go to stress to some level.
When you say stress level, I have a very interesting thing I like to ask people, especially when I'm talking to gym experts and fitness experts. mental stress or physical stress, what do you mean about stress level? Like, it's two different things, but it's real stress too.
Yeah.
Both are real stress.
Yeah, I think primarily mental stress is more key here, because with physical stress, we have that physical cue that the stress is over. So going to the gym, for example, is a physical type of stress, or like walking in a busy market is a physical stress. It happens, your body knows when it's over. Mental stress, especially maybe you're worrying about something, our brain keeps replaying it, and our minds do not know the difference between what's real or what's happening right and what's not. So it's like, it's telling ourselves that we're constantly in that moment that we're no longer in. So mental stress is huge, right? It's why people are dropping down for blood pressure and all of these things. Regulating mental stressors is so key, and it's easier said than done. This is actually because at the end of the day, my client's going to be like, so I should not work, I'm going to go show up, like real life shit, right? Like, you really like want to be able to like, okay, hustle, hit your goals, and it's tough. But a few things that help would be optimizing your sleep. When we sleep, we're able to reset and let some things go. And that thing is meditation. For some people, it's prayer. But like finding time in the day to really quiet your mind and speak to yourself. I tried meditation for a very long time. It didn't really work for me until I started doing like these walking meditations. It's not possible in Lagos, but I walk and I just very early in the morning, I just block out my mind from anything, and I just take this as me time. I review all of my problems and figure out, okay, what is actually possible? What are my solutions? Just like really, really quieting your mind is very key. Journaling helps some people. So writing stuff down. If you don't like to write, maybe you can voice note yourself. Just letting it out. This can also help. Can also come in the form of like talking to your family, your friends, or your advisors. But instead of just bottling everything within, like talking to people really. I mean, therapy is also an example here. Talking to people really does help. But for me, it's also like finding moments of joy and like pre-planning. Okay, I will take this time for myself. And the kind of joy that we're looking for is not always, let's go to the club and pop bottles, but like doing things that actually nourish and enrich your soul is very key. So I would say sleep and stress are two key factors outside of fitness, outside of nutrition, that really help you with getting results.
That's huge. Like, mindset has everything to do with fitness and how. But my question in there is now is, like you said, most of your clients will be like, I will not sue, am I not going to eat? And I understand, like, because I like using myself as an example. The first thing that goes when my life gets busy is my whatever fitness schedule I have. It goes. So for somebody like me, that, okay, once life gets busy, the first thing I try to eradicate, thinking, I can free some space here, is fitness. What do you have to say to that?
Okay, so there are two ways I could approach this. One is, I would say to you, you haven't done this long enough to actually just build the habit. Because if you already have it as a habit, right, it's already kind of like, it's how you operate, is what it is that you do. So I would say focus on really pushing past. Because if you were to say to yourself, okay, yes, life is busy right now, but my health is a priority, so I will make this time for myself. And it doesn't have to be 1 hour. It can be 30 minutes, right? This time around, okay, I don't have time. I can't shop as much as I want. I can't go 5 days a week, but I can go 2 times a week, right? Instead of like removing it completely, I think people need to think about, how can I scale this down, right? So you might be thinking, I'm so busy, but it's like, okay, you don't have to cut it out completely. You can actually just scale it down a little bit. And it's okay to have seasons, right? We operate in seasons. I think it's very unrealistic of me to sit down here and say, every day for the rest of your life, you will go to the gym 5 times a week. There will not be anything that happens, right? It's just not realistic at all. So actually understanding what your season is, maybe at the season of life that you're in right now, making money is your priority. But you get to a point where you make so much money that your health will become a priority because you want to be able to enjoy all of your money. So I think not being too rigid in my routine looks like this, but like be more flexible as to how you approach things. Think about scaling things down a bit, and also really also remembering and anchoring yourself in the fact that to move well and to eat well is to live well. And ask yourself, what kind of life do I want to live?
I want to live well.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Aside me thinking, I know it's a misconception on my side, and I'm sure a lot of people have it. Aside those misconceptions of thinking, when I cut out the gym, I'm going to have more time to be able to focus on things I need to focus on, which is a total misconception. I will say that again, because I know from my own day-to-day life, and I'm sure people out there agree, and some people disagree with that. What other misconception do you think people are often dabble in and dabble out of the gym have about fitness?
I think one is more related to food. It's like, oh, I can't eat ever and achieve my goals. Actually, you can. Again, it's more about focusing on high protein foods, high fiber foods, using smarter cooking methods like air frying, steaming, using your oven as opposed to like frying everything, managing your oil consumption. Ooh, how can I forget? Alcohol. Alcohol is a big one, right? Did you know that when you have alcohol in your system, your body actually cannot burn fat? Like your body is just going to be focused on detoxing that alcohol. Like your liver that's what's happening, right? There's nothing like fat burning when there's alcohol in your system. So I'm not saying don't drink alcohol. I actually help my clients manage alcohol consumption because I know that drinking alcohol is a huge part of like socializing, and I do think like
I don't agree with that. They don't make them like me again. I don't drink, I don't smoke.
Hey, I love that. I love to hear that.
Rare. Real talk.
Yeah.
I don't drink, I don't smoke.
Are you Muslim? Are you Muslim?
No, I'm not Muslim.
You just never...
I just never drink, I never smoked. Yeah. Just not my thing. Like, I don't know. I just have this.
I mean, this is the ideal, right? This is where we want to be. But you have a lot of people who... for whatever reason.
Yeah,
exactly.
for other reasons.
So what I preach is like 2 drinks a week max. Don't buy alcohol to your house. Maybe have it socially. And then I go into protocols like drinking electrolytes, sleeping, what to eat before you drink so that your body is able to absorb it more. So there are a few things that you can do, but alcohol can also be really, really huge in terms of like getting results.
So that's a big misconception.
But
I think I see gym bros that have muscle
drinking
alcohol.
I mean, another thing that's very interesting is like, you know that having muscle is not necessarily a depiction of health. Like some of these gym bros that have big muscles, they can literally not run. Like they get out of breath from running. They are not the healthy. Like I had one of my, may he so rest in peace. He was like a bodybuilder, right? And he was 45, and he just died from a heart attack. And he was ripped.
It's crazy.
And it's what I'm talking about. It's the consumption of like the protein shakes and the pumping and the, all of these things. So again, muscles are not a depiction of health. Like if you were to look back at like, I don't know, like the cavemen, they weren't like necessarily like jacked. Yeah, they were lean, ripped, but it wasn't like just excess pounds of muscle like you see on a bouncer. So I think that looking at health 360 is very key. Sleeping well, eating well, moving well, being able to be like metabolically adaptable to things happening around you is also
I think that's something we've not talked about. If we're talking about fitness, we're talking about weights, we're talking about metabolism. The use of Ozempic right now.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think it's so rampant in our society now?
Because people want a quick fix. People want to take something that will get them results. And all GLP-1 drugs, essentially, what they do is that they regulate, like they work with your insulin, and essentially they just reduce your appetite. So you're able to, it forces you to eat less, and you're able to drop weight very, very quickly.
Is it sustainable? Realistically.
So the thing is, and this is what I always say, whenever any new drug hits the market, we just don't have enough data, right? I couldn't tell you what will happen in 10 years because we don't know. This thing hasn't been on the market in 10 years. I think that anything that forces your body and is foreign will always have repercussions. There is no, even paracetamol. Read the back. They'll say caution. This thing might one day, There's always like dark sides to these things. And, there are people who've been on Ozempic that, they've had like liver issues and brain issues. It will not happen to everyone. I think one is a very expensive. Well, I think it's getting cheaper now, but it is an investment for something that you could just achieve naturally. 2 is like, if you stop Ozempic, you gain the weight back. Like, so it's like you need to now commit to doing this for the rest of your life because a lot of people.
You're now on drugs.
Yeah, and another thing is that when you stop it, the reason why you gain the weight back is because you haven't built the habits of a skinny person. You are still a fat person in a skinny body. No, it's going to sound bad, but it is like. If you gained a lot of weight, right, you did certain things, you have certain behaviors that put you there.
Like certain lifestyle.
And it's different for everyone. Some people gain weight because of stress or whatever. But if you then all of a sudden have a skinny body, I'll give you 6 months. You're coming back.
Unless you have some lifestyle modification.
Exactly. So you need to... And Ozempic, I do have an ex-client who... she really struggled for a long time to lose some weight. But background, she had hormonal issues. She had a couple of other things going on. So it was very helpful for her because she did, like, she tried for years with, like, workout and food, and she wasn't really getting those results. So she was on not Ozempic, she was on Mounjaro, and she did get results. She's come off it and she has gained some of the weight back. Not all. I'm also very curious to see what her results look like in the next couple of months. My point being, in this life, there's nothing like shortcut. And it's not just for food or fitness. It's just for life in general. We all want the quick fix. But last,
You have to do the work.
exactly.
You have to put in the work.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's one thing I like about putting in the work. It's not like it's going to reward you fast, but it's definitely going to reward you
Absolutely.
at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Okay, since we're talking about fitness, eating, one of the most important topics, if we don't touch on it, is recovery. I mean, because I think, I said the only reason why I run from the gym, I don't think my recovery is
Great.
great. Because I try to put myself through it every day. Like, that's just the way my own mindset is. I believe, like, we need to go at it every day, irrespective of how little you put in a day. Just put in something a day.
Yeah.
So, recovery, how important is recovery?
Yeah, no, there's no badge of honor for suffering. Recovery is so key. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and I feel like, even like I mentioned already, like, what happens or the change happens when we rest. So rest might look like just taking the rest day off. I do like to do a few other things to really kind of like up it up. So I recommend massages. If you can get a massage, it gets everything moving. Ice baths, they're not quite popular here just yet, but like even just taking a cold shower will really help with your muscle recovery. I know some people like these like hot muscle balms. I've never really personally tried them, but I know they can be helpful. Things like foam rolling to really get like your muscles moving.
Relaxed.
Yes, that works really well. Sleep is really the best recovery tool that anyone could ask for. And food, right? So you want to be eating things that support or that are anti-inflammatory. So things like leafy greens, things like ginger, garlic, kind of just helps support your body. Making sure like vitamin rich, micronutrient rich. So yeah, like outside of that, also intentionally planning things that bring you rest. You know, it's okay to sit down at home. You don't have to be outside every night. Like all of these things, they matter.
And the line between fitness and aesthetics these days gets very blurry very fast, because we have a lot of fitness coach that are not really fit, but they're aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I mean, sorry, pardon my choice of words, but that is what it is. So, do you think that is going to change, or is here to stay?
It's not going to change. I think it's part of the industry. Like every industry has their things, and I think illusion or look is a huge part of the fitness industry. If my client came to me and saw that, okay,
you don't look some
I don't
type
look
of way.
certain way, then they'll be like, if she doesn't look like that, like, how will she get me results, you know? It's pretty much walking the talk. In terms of now being actually fit, well, that's, you know, objectively speaking.
Okay.
Yeah, objectively speaking, that's, I'm not there.
Yeah, I mean, because that's like very interesting when I look at the fitness industry, because a lot of people would rather look some certain type of way than
be
the thing. Yeah. And I mean, because it gets them the bag now, like quick fix. I mean, people patronize, make the money and just back out.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that is the person themselves or the client themselves should also remove vanity metrics, because if you actually have questions, if you see how well people, and that's another thing, right? You can be someone who is, you know, well educated, well experienced, and maybe you just had a baby, or maybe you're trying to grow your business and haven't to hit the gym. It doesn't mean that you're unable to, you know, I guess coach, but also at the same time, it's like instead of looking at just what people look like, actually see and check their expertise, see how they've actually helped people. And also just be looking at more things than just looks is really the moral of the story here.
Okay. You have built a brand based on you showing that you have a lot of knowledge and you are very relatable. So if there's one thing you are going to change about people's approach, especially in this generation we are, and we as a country, because we have a lot of misinformation about fitness in Nigeria. When I look at the industry, and that's one thing I think they need to address, there's a lot of misinformation flying around about fitness. That if you take your time to ask questions, critical thinking, you will know that these things are just genuinely wrong. So if there's one thing about the industry that you can change about people's approach to fitness, be it physically or mentally, what would that be?
I think that for everyone to kind of like go on board, I feel like it needs to be like a top-down implementation. I would love for a sort of like higher body to implement like accreditation of like people who are qualified to talk about fitness or nutrition. I feel like there needs to be some sort of like body that governs that governs the people in the industry. And I feel like that's missing because fitness itself is very varied. And again, like I said, what works for one person will not work for another person. So you can have different approaches, but everyone in the industry should go through like, you know, a very clear process to qualify you as someone that can actually coach. And I think that people think of fitness as something that's just like, it's nice to have and it's just da. But ultimately, this is your health, right? Like, being able to move is such a blessing. Being able to eat well and live well is such a blessing. So if I go to the gym with an unqualified trainer and I hurt my back, like, that's something that could actually affect my entire life, right? So many people are getting injured. So many people are trying to do too much at once. So many people are just not setting the foundations and the basics. And I think, like, the recurring theme in what I like to say is, again, you can't just start from zero and want to go to the gym and get to day one. You can't just enter the gym I want to just start lifting 100 kg. Who are you? Do you get? Like, you need to calm down and build foundation, get it right, and then from there you can.
Okay, I mean, since we're talking about foundation, I'd like us to end on this note, like fitness. When it comes to fitness, what things people need to understand? Let me shine a light on it. BMI, body mass index. How do I need to? Can you help me explain to people how important is my body mass index to my fitness journey?
Okay, so I mean, it's an important indicator, and again, it really depends on your goal. So when you do like your test, right, they'll put you either on normal, over, or under. A lot of people are normal and they want to kind of like go under. I feel like these things, they're not always accurate. The same way we say the scale is not always accurate, right? Yeah. So the same thing with your BMI. But I do feel like it's a good tool to have, and you can easily calculate this on like any online calculator. These days, ChatGPT will even help you. If you put in your height, you put in your weight, you can get these numbers out there. But I feel like knowing that can then tell you, okay, what I feel like is a better tool is actually understanding your body fat percentage, especially if fat loss is your journey, because that would actually help you know, okay, how much do I want to lose of fat protein, specifically? How much protein do I want to eat? You know, how much muscle do I actually want to build? But yeah, I think for the average person, it's a great tool.
Yeah, then there are conflicting advices when it comes to when I was preparing for this. I saw lower carb versus high carb. Heavy lifting versus body weight. Please, can you for the benefit of those people that are going to listen to this and watch it.
I work in the fitness industry and I'm constantly bamboozled by new things every day.
Yeah.
The thing is, there were vegan diets, there were keto, there's intermittent fasting, there is low carb, there's high carb. You know, there are multiple sports.
What's multiple sports again?
I mean, people will say, okay, lift heavy today. Some people say, let's do Pilates. Running is the best way to lose weight. Yeah. Some will say, no, it's not running, let's skip. You know, let's swim. There's so many things, right? I think ultimately, if you look at the trend, I like to look at the data. Over the years, what has worked? Because tomorrow there'll always be something new. If you look at the data very clearly, what has worked is resistance training, which is also strength training. And that works because it helps you build muscle. So yes, if you want to lift higher or lower weight, are you resistance training in a way where you're stressing your body enough to build muscle? Why do you need muscle? You need muscle because as we age, right? Muscle is a good indicator of like how well we can move. It protects our bone density. There's a lot of science as to why we need muscle. We all need muscle. If you're a man, if you're a woman, you need muscle too. That's a big one because how many times will you go to a gym and a Nigerian, your aunties, your mother will tell you, isn't that enough? Why do you want to look like a man? No, but you have to understand that these are things that we get every single day. And I get it. There was a time in my life where like I was very competitive with the sport that I was playing, and I really was like, someone came up to me and they were like, "Oh, are you a fighter?" Like that's how big I was, yeah. And at that time, I loved it. Like was following like quite a few female athletes who were just built that way, and I find it really, really sexy. But I'm in a stage right now where I do prefer like a more lean physique still, but still like feminine. And I think that that's a personal preference. Like you can't push same things with BBLs or whatever. You can't really push how you feel on somebody else. But there is a very clear benefit to having muscle outside of how you look, whatever. Beneficial. I think I'm missing the original question now. What brought me here?
We were talking about lower carbs, high carbs.
Yes, exactly.
The noises, just how to filter the noises.
Exactly.
All these type of processes.
Exactly. So in terms of movement, having some sort of strength training angle is important, and then walking. Nobody likes to talk about walking. Walk more. Get your steps. Yeah, walking, that's very key. Keep it stable. If you want to try something new, you can try it, but don't really mess with your foundation. This is the foundation. If you've gotten that foundation really right and you're like, okay, I want to push myself and see how fast I can swim, you try that. Then when it comes to food, again, there's so many marketing gimmicks out there. There's so many foods to try. Somebody will come with this supplement and say, this is the one that's going to help you, blah, blah, blah. Eat whole foods. Eat real foods. When I say whole foods, real foods, I mean, instead of buying the pack of food that says it is food, just go and buy like vegetables, meat, nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, food that is perishable, food that doesn't have like it's not they're writing on the body, expires 1 year from now, you get like real foods. And I like to think about foods as an 80%, 20% thing, because I know it's not always realistic for everyone 100% of the time to get it right. But if you can get it 80% right, I promise you, you're doing great. Drink water. That's it.
I mean, I've learned a lot just talking about fitness with you this morning. And thank you for doing that. It means the world to me. Like, you've been able to shift my perspective on certain things. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to listen to this are going to enjoy it as much as I did, the way you've spoken about fitness. But we can't stop talking about fitness without mentioning consistency. And that's the hardest part. And I want us to end it on that note. What's the mindset shift that needs to happen for me to stay consistent in the gym?
I think small wins, it's better than nothing. People look at progress as a diagonal line upwards, but it's usually like, you're up here, then you dip. Then you're up here, you dip. And I say this to my clients all the time. It's like, oh, maybe they had a bad week and they couldn't work out. And it's like, oh, I've lost all my progress. Actually, no, because you're going to go back next week. You only lose when you stop, right? Consistency is, it shows on a longer timeline as opposed to like you just looking at, oh, this last week, this last month, this last 2 months, right? Just think progress isn't linear. Keep going. You've got this. As long as you're willing to keep trying, it will eventually click.
All right, thank you. And on that note, I think this conversation is going to come to an end. Thank you for sharing the things you shared about fitness. Thank you for doing what you do. And most especially, thank you for doing this with us. It means the world to me and my team, like I said in the beginning. And on this podcast, we have the closing tradition, where the last guest leave the questions for the next guest without knowing who they are leaving the question for.
Oh, gosh,
and now I need to read you the question that was left for you.
Okay.
What is the most underrated quality that you have as a person? That was the question that was left for you.
Underrated quality.
Yeah, what is the most underrated quality that you have as a person?
Okay, I don't know. I like to think I'm funny. But my sister doesn't agree. Nobody thinks I'm funny, but in my mind, I'm funny. I think I'm underrated.
All right. I mean, that passed for it.
Yeah.
So now we end it on the note of you leaving a question for the next guest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I do.
I did. It was super fun.
That will make my day.